And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League presented by WTRL. We are on the America's East Division 1. We'll be covering the A, B, C, and D category, mostly on the A's for the men and the women. We'll be jumping around to the B's, the C's, and the D's on the latter part of the broadcast. I'm Nathan Garrett. Dave Toll's next to me. Been a busy day for Dave. Well, it's been a busy day for myself, but Dave as well are already working yesterday's Premier League as well, Dave. So women are out on course. Women go first today on Richmond for the Americas, and then we'll be jumping in with the men in just 15 minutes, actually, to go some side-by-side action as well. I think I got a mic for you there. Did you hit the mute button maybe, Dave? I'm gonna double check here real quick.
I absolutely hit the mute button. Sorry about that, Nathan. It's been an incredible day of racing. I have to say that what we've seen already today has been, if this is a good example of what season 2 is going to be like, we're in for a real treat. We saw some solo breakaways stay away. We saw just about everything throughout some of the earlier races of the day. So, Nathan, as you give me credit for a long day, your day is absolutely amazing. It's really basically a 24-hour run when you look at starting at the APAC, and we're looking forward to having Kate Bates joining us again. But as we make our way around the globe, racing has been absolutely incredible. And to tell you the truth, this has always been one of my favorite races. When you look at America's East women, there's a lot of talent in this group. We've seen a lot of tactics. One of our colleagues, Anna Russell, on the Saris, the Pros Closet team, it's always given us a little bit of extra insight. There's a lot of intrigue. And, good. Jumping in with Anna to start with Anna racing down out of New Zealand. We have a South African in this field, even though this is America's East. So, Nathan, they hit it hard. They hit it immediately. We can talk about reverse Richmond. For those that have already been watching, you know that this course delivers, and it's a 1-2 punch. You get that 2 times, and we've already started here. 23rd and Libby. Get after it, ladies.
Is there one off the front? No, there's not. This is actually going to be right here with Post now hammered. Anna following very, very closely here. It does look like Saris the Close Closet with a 1-2 punch with Megan Rathwell right there. Now it's going to be Monks there from Finesse Rockets. Fredder's there as well. Gagnon's as well there from Saris TPC. Plenty of Saris TPC toward the front. Christina Grossman trying to follow it up with Cameron there right on the wheel. Lots of yellow and white. This looks to be very coordinated early, just given everything you got for these points. We did see earlier, Dave, that if you didn't have enough riders with you to do this, it's very risky because of the slingshot at the bottom. It may not be the case, though, if they have enough riders alongside them.
I think they have just enough, Nathan. That is a great point, and that was the pro tip that we got from earlier in the day. So that's going to be Grossman just getting on to the back here of this group. So this is a tactic that has really become the calling card for the Saris, the Pros Closet team. That's the women in yellow and green here. They have been incredibly aggressive. They take the bull by the horns as we start on the way up to Libby now. But that's that slingshot that you're talking about there, Nathan.
Russell now 6.5 watts per kilogram toward the front. As you can see, Grossman making this move tells me that she's been putting the work in, as the level that's at the front end of this peloton right now is the cream of the crop a lot amongst the women, I think, here. So in, a few months back, there was, starting to show up on the race radar was Christina Grossman. And I would say, right at that A level, being able to make that move up front, we'll see if she can handle the later end of the race, though, after that kind of an effort for some points for the team. But pretty awesome to see her able to make those moves at the front end of this race. Now, Post here, as you can see, though, moving backwards, and that's what I'm talking about. Those initial kicks and trying to go for those points can put the hurt in the legs, and a rider can very quickly get the reality of what Richmond Reverse has up front.
They are all over the shop, left, right, and center right now. You're going to see the truss here where the QOM points are distributed. Some things to talk about that are new for Season 2, including the fact that we scored 10 deep versus we basically doubled what the bonuses are worth. Bonuses or preems, whatever you might call them, as we make our way down. In real life, this would be bananas coming down on the cobblestones of Libby Hill. But this is why this course is
so... Dave.
This is incredible.
Saris the Pros Closet have just made this happen.
They have sprung the greatest trap in the history of Zwift Racing League. Again, season 2. But Nathan, if this works, this is a stunner. And it goes to show you that the racing is from the start line. So many people think that you can ease into it or find your legs. But today, Nathan, this is unbelievable. I'm almost at a loss for words. I didn't know that this could be done. This is all got Anna Russell's fingerprints all over it. As when the authorities go back and look at this one and dust the prints, this is absolutely a Russell caper that we're looking at right now. She's got Christina Grossman as her henchwoman with her here. And there's a third rider now from Saris the Pros Closet. Help me out, Nate Cameron is there as well.
There's 5 here, actually. Megan Rathwell
This is an absolute jailbreak.
We've got
that green jersey is also Saris. That's that yellow Tron bike. That's
yeah, exactly.
Gagnon,
and that's going to be
correct?
Gagnon.
Yep.
Gagnon. Yeah, and
Yep.
I'm wondering if there's a relationship there with Gagnon like a canyon here.
It's still Gagnon like a canyon. It's just a different
Gagnon. Just a different Gagnon here. So, but the other thing is that the reality that there's the Finesse Rockets are alongside this, and that's the other team that is top notch amongst here. This I would be extremely surprised if this comes back with the kind of talent they're out the front. We saw them try this in France, actually, I believe they were riding Kaze Pats over the weekend in Tour de Burica. We saw them attack on the flats very early on with a coordinated attack. They didn't really have the landscape.
It didn't work.
Stick. No, but the landscape wasn't there. This course provides the landscape to make something like this work if they can get them all off the front on that kind of a climb. And they did
completely,
just that.
Nathan. This is bike racing at its best. I 100% will sign off on what you're talking about. The same tactic, it's just like chess. You can't do the same thing over and over and expect to win. But every now and then, I mean, this is heavy-handed, to say the least. To go out with this kind of, to call this bold is underselling it, to tell you the truth. 5 riders attacking in the first kilometer, and it's not like everyone wasn't aware that there were a lot of bonus points. I mean, Nathan, they went so hard so early, and you can see this gap right now. It's sitting at around 10, let's call it 10 seconds right now, back to that first chase group. This is going to be very interesting. It's not a done deal that they stay away, but I'm in Nathan's camp for sure that this has got some real legs to it. They're working hard. I mean, this is basically turned into a team time trial here with 2 teams working together. And that's what's really interesting here. I mean, there must have been some communication, or Finesse has picked up, the Finesse Rockets have picked up what Saris is telegraphing. And this is the chase that we're going back to, Nathan. Nathan, haven't really ever seen anything quite like this start. This is really exciting.
And the reality of Governor Street in just a moment, I think, is going to blow things up again. That front group, they can get into a tempo, but then they can punch again. We'll see if this chase group can make something happen. I just want to give everybody an idea of exactly where we're at. We're at that 6 kilometer mark, a little bit, 8.1, a little bit after that's when that Broad Street climb comes in. At the top of the Broad Street climb at Monument Avenue, that's going to be the next point out on course for some points to be given. Then they're going to restart that whole lap again when you see that second 23rd Street, Libby Hill into Broad Street again. So Broad Street, as you're seeing here, that's going to be the next climb in just a moment that they're about to hit. And I think that's going to blow things up in just a moment here. That is the course. 2 laps that are a total little over 30.
So what you're saying, Nathan, this is going to be the litmus test here. This is the front group. So this is going to be Anna Russell, Claire Cameron, Evelyn Gagnon, Catherine Monks, Christina Grossman, Megan Rathwell, all riding here in this front group. Now, excuse me, and add Tara Freder as well.
Balls in Saris here, 100%.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, if they're completely committed to this, it stays away. And they are, aren't they? I have a feeling they just, what a way to start the season here. This is week 1 of 10. And you got to remember that Freder here is a former professional rider herself. She rode for the Hagens Berman team and did a couple of years, her partner, Jonathan Freder, they live in Ohio. These two have extensive in real life. They've done the races like Redlands and Gila, so that's a rider that you can rely on. Now, it looks like a few are going to go all in and just try to bridge up. You get the feeling this is just it's amazing to have the panic bell ringing so early in the race, but I think it's ringing loud and clear for a few riders, and I think, Nathan, a few of them are going to join this front group. It's not going to be quite as clean as we thought. We're starting to see some cross pollination, I think, between the chasers now. So not everyone's going to catch, though, Nathan. Maybe 5, 6 riders, I think, are going to join and turn this into a group of close to a baker's dozen.
Yeah, and there may be a reality also amongst Stars to Pros closet that some of the riders are like, look, I don't know how many more times that I can hang on like maybe a couple of the riders amongst Stars to Pros closet could have given another 5 to 6 watts per kilogram, but would that have been worth dropping a couple of your other riders? Not sure, and there is the reality that a top 30, how many you put in that top 10, that's really what's going to matter. They allowed one finesse rider to come back, but I'm not sure that was too much of a concern.
I agree. That's going to be Paige Bolt that's joining. The Agawatt riders here, Caroline Bouillot and Jeff Schenkelsen. Let's see who we have now at this point here. Wow, what a fantastically interesting race. So Finesse in the orange and black. They've got 3 up there now. That was Freder that I was talking about a little while ago. You can see all in, remembering that the solid green jersey is, for all intents and purposes, yellow and green of the Ceres to Pros Closet team. This is their move. They started the fuse, and that might be it. I think you can lock down the back door at this point, Nathan. I think that we have our selection. What a bizarre way, exciting way to get to this point. Christina Grossman moving up to the front, and she's setting tempo. It's funny to think that Christina Grossman is here racing while right next to her are 2 of the fastest dogs in the world, sleeping and watching her out of the corner of her eye. I love that story, and I love this shot, Nathan. That's your front group, the women who have made the race, the gladiators of Zwift. That second group, they're so close they can smell the embrocation coming off the legs of the riders up there, but I don't know that they can make contact. I just saw the name, Laurel Rathbun. This is a talented rider. I got some grief for calling Jordan Shane kid yesterday, as someone pointed out. He's almost 30 years old, and I realized they're absolutely right. That's my perspective. But I remember Laurel Rathbun racing as an 11-year-old here in Colorado, Nathan. But again, that was almost 20 years ago. So time goes by, but Laurel racing for, it must be the Stages team, as I see Paisley Sheehan is out here as well. Really great to see these Colorado women have put together a team and are going to jump in. Gwen Inglis, the multiple-time Colorado state champion. Well, they're getting a, hey, how do you do? Welcome to e-racing out here at this very high level. That's for sure, Nathan. I don't know if I've ever seen a race start harder, and this esports is known for these really hard starts. Yep. So that's going to be Grossman. Good job, Christina.
Grossman took it down. Maybe it was right at the
10
line
points.
here. Right at the line. I'm going to table check the preems here in just a moment. But
Tara Cole.
Solid kick. Looking through here, we do have the preems for their first time through over the top of 23rd. This will update in just a second here. See Whitney Post taking that down over the top of 23rd, then Megan, then it was Evelyn Gagnon, then it's going to be Catherine Monks, Tara Cole Fetter, Anna Russell, Claire Cameron, Christina Grossman, Paige Bolt, and then Alana Brady. Now this will update in just a moment with that Monument Avenue sprint for points as well. And we'll see how that ends up playing out here in just a second, because I believe Grossman did take it. She'll be at 13 points for the team.
Paisley Sheehan, Nathan, is in this group. The young rider living in Montana. Her father was just announced, Clark was just announced as the new director sportif for the rally team, the American Pro Continental Squad, and is an absolute American legend. Paisley is a triathlete, a University of Colorado graduate, and she's made this front group after everything that they've been through. You've been through the ringer in the first 9.5K of racing, so keeping your head above water is very impressive by Paisley Sheehan here. Taking a look, the women in this group, Nathan, I would say are more than legit when you take some analysis and inventory here. Obviously, we've mentioned the Ceres, the Pros Closet riders, and the Finesse riders. Let's see who else was able to sneak in. I was just talking about Sheehan there. Alana Brady, that's a big name. Cryogen's Alana Brady here in the blue and white. Well, this is a who's who And again, they make it easy for us, Nathan. When you talk about the riders to watch out of America's East, well, here they are on your screen right now.
Yeah, Soares here as well. That team with a quick, and then there was one other ride. This new Egowatt team. I've seen them popping up a lot on the socials lately, so you're gonna watch out for them. New team that's just recently popped up and is jumping into the community league here at a top level, and definitely even being dropped off. But I mean, this isn't nothing to at all be ashamed of being dropped off from that top and elite group of women going away. And actually, one rider from Agawats here was able to stick in it. It looks like here that's going to be
Jess,
Susan,
I think.
Jess here,
yeah,
able to do so.
Yeah, good job, Jess. That's for sure. Agawat, Nathan, is a team that's new to me, I'll be honest, but this is how you do it. It's no longer new to me as of this moment. Megan Rathwell, Claire Cameron, Anna Russell, Christina Grossman, and Evelyn Gagnon. And I think you're on the right path with Gagnon there, Nathan. These are the 5 riders from Saris the Pros Closet that are up here. Have to give credit to Catherine Monks, another rider that certainly, I think multiple times, Nathan, during season 1, Catherine Monks was called out as a rider to watch. Certainly a huge talent. And now this is what you would expect. I would be shocked if she wasn't in this group. And that's a nice indicator for a rider when you start expecting them to make the selections out here. This is Jess that Nathan is in with now, the Agawat team. So listen, with everything that we've seen here in the first 11.1K, if you had, I guess it's down to 1 rider right now, but basically getting 2 riders into this selection, Agawat's going to be part of the conversation. So we'll certainly remember that. But Brady, the cryogen rider, does not have any teammates that she can look to out here, nor does Paisley Sheehan. And I have Paisley, thanks to Martin at WTRL and the incredible job that he does. I have Paisley racing for the Stages team. And anybody who knows their cycling would know Stages for their power meters and all of the incredible stuff that they make. So, all right. Well, Nathan, what a start. I was going to say, let's take a deep breath and buckle down, but there's no time for that because they're going to continue to keep the accelerator down on the floorboard. Just to hit a couple points of business for you, it is 32.5 kilometers of racing out here on Richmond Reverse. And Nathan, I see you've got Chris Uberti and company out there on course as the men now. When you put them on a little 4% grade dropping down, they will fly at over 70 kilometers per hour.
And we'd have former employee of Zwift, actually, Jordan Rapp is out here. This is no joke competitor. When the I think going uphill or straight FTP, maybe more down Jordan's alley, being a top end triathlete, world class. And Jordan, though, when the Alp the Zwift first launched, I went out to Zwift HQ and was like, I'm gonna go set up a pretty good time or whatever, and then he told me his time that was like 5 minutes better than mine or something. I was like, are you kidding me? So I'd be watching out for Jordan. If they are able to launch him off of the climbs into that flatter section and get away somewhere, if you allow Jordan Rapp to get away, he can pull some serious wattage for a long period of time. And if they sleep on that, I'd be watching out here. But looking up toward the front now, we do see it's going to be Faulkner, as well as Lambie now. And this is Next. I am not familiar with Next Racing.
This is
interesting to see.
Holy cow. I'm looking now because I'm in Zwift Power. If this is Ashton Lambie,
I believe
and
it
I
is,
have
yes.
a strong feeling it is.
Yeah.
You know, this is one of the best bike riders on planet Earth today, ladies and gentlemen. This is the world record holder in the pursuit out of Nebraska. This is absolutely awesome. It's giving me goosebumps to think that Ashton Lambie is racing with us right now. Absolutely an incredible moment. This is, had the Olympics, if everything had gone the right way, there was a chance at one point that Ashton Lambie was going to lead the United States to our first ever medal in the team pursuit as he was working with riders like Colby Lang and company. That unfortunately didn't all work out with so many different things that happened, but Zach Nair here on that team, this is awesome.
Zach,
for us.
I think Zach made a couple of phone calls in the off season. I have a feeling because Zach has been a part of this community for a while, and I think he got a few of his buddies together at this point. And Cananzaro, I mean, Uberti here, obviously Lambie. He was like, let's go ahead and put together a super team and take down America's East and the men's side of things. I think that's what he's up to. And now Zach off the front looking to try and make this break happen. Now, the points were over the top of 23rd, but this is a great opportunity to do exactly what we saw Cyrus the Pros Closet just a moment ago do. You want to continue on, use that 20% grading, and break the pack as much as you possibly can. It looks like he's doing just that. The gaps are there from what we can see. Moving backwards just a little bit. It does look like a few are falling off. Walter Zwart is out here, it looks like, for ATP, from what we can see. Unless this is a separate Zwart. Is this the second Zwart? Zwart 2? No, I'm just kidding. He's got the 2 next to the name there. Duffy's here. We see Faulkner, Lambie now going backwards a little bit, but let's see if we can get back on terms.
Well, it's incredible. For those of you joining us tonight, what a treat. Our women's race is incredibly dynamic. We've got interjecting one of the biggest names in cycling, Ashton Lambie, into this race, and we'll see what it's like throwing this hand grenade into the middle of the bike race. My goodness, this is going to be exciting. The guy's just getting into it out here, as today will be 2 laps for that 32.4K. But there's a couple section for a human wattage cottage like Lambie. He can do a lot of damage, but you got to learn the game. I'm going to have to take a look at how much Zwifting Ashton has done. Well known. I mean, does a lot of gravel racing as well. And I'm going to be very curious to see level 35 Zwifter. So, have you ever seen him race before on the platform, Nathan?
I'm not sure I've seen Lambie. No, I would recognize the name for
I
sure.
haven't.
I do believe this is going to come back together. Maybe he can work together with some of these other riders. It's only 5 seconds, but the reality is the front end of this pack does not want Lambie coming to the line for a sprint. I believe that the reality of him in a sprint is exactly what this group does not want. Next, need to calm it right down at the front, not try and pull away continually because they were the ones that did the damage. Now, Endurance Works, maybe a few others going to make their way to the front and say, no. We're not going to make this easy. We know your sprinters in there. Make them hurt until they hit that Broad Street climb is what they're going to try and do.
And, to be honest, Nathan, so the speciality for Ashton is that classic pursuit. So he's the world record holder in that. He can basically go on a flat track 60 kilometers per hour average speed. So that's starting at a dead stop as well, factoring that. It's not a rolling start for that event. So there's not going to be, there's maybe 1 or 2 other people on planet Earth can make those kind of watts for 4 minutes. So he's the most dangerous rider in the world if you're with him in a group and he decides to attack on a 4% grade from 3K out. There wouldn't be a human being. There's Josh Lipka up there. That's nice to see. Working with the 2024 women now, a really great coach and more than holding his own. He's come back from some...
definitely give Josh some shout outs there. I know in the background being new DS to the 2024 team. And when we saw the tactics yesterday playing out, his name was coming to my mind actually, as they did a very good job trying to keep Heino within reins and get as many points on the board as they possibly could. So big shout out to Josh. We'll see how he ends up playing out today here in the Americas East.
It's certainly encouraging if your coach can race at the front of it with a field like that. It gives your the words that you're Kieran Lewis there. But riders tend to respect people that can do this more than folks that can't as well. It's one thing to talk a big game, but when you're talking about how to ride a race, it certainly helps for credibility if you can do it yourself. That's for sure. As we're in with Mullins now, this next team is going to be a huge part of the conversation, Nathan. And this group looks a lot smaller to me than it was a little while ago. This is only 6.5K. These are not this level of racer. These guys are not used to getting dropped in the first 5K of a race. It speaks to how aggressive they have gone out and gotten after it. We do have some timed segments with some points available here as well. A new wrinkle that's been added to the Zwift Racing League for Season 2. So there's quite a few points that you can pick up.
We're waiting for a couple updates on the points. We're waiting for them to. We got a couple of IDs and things that need to be messed with the tad. But as we head into this next time, they'll be looking for the next point section to be up at the top of at the top of the Broad Street here in just a moment. We do see Metax though at the front. Interesting enough to see. And again, GCN Kit This is going to be Lou Instra on the front. Not a name I'm super familiar with. Now it's going to be Cannondale Echelon 4i there, but Lambie now to the front, making sure that he doesn't find himself again in the situation he was in before. Because I have a feeling you were right that maybe not as used to the reality of Zwift racing and how to do it. And so perhaps that was going on there with Lambie, just trying to need to find his footing about where do I need to hang out.
Yeah, in a way, it's encouraging, right? Because even Ashton Lambie has to go up against the same learning curve that everyone else does and can get caught out. He just has a huge engine that he can correct problems that most human beings wouldn't even think about coming back from. As we take a look now, we're in with Ashton once again. Boy, there's so many recognizable names throughout the series here. This is going to be a really fun race to watch week in, week out. America's East, really, both the men and the women's races, Nathan, have got exciting, thrilling outcomes week after week. The quality of the fields is why we see that. Should talk about the dropouts super quickly here, the power-ups, as Draft, Arrow, and Feather are the three that are in play here. You've got an equal opportunity of picking up any one of those. 1/3 of the time you'll see Draft, Arrow, or Feather. So Draft giving you 50% increase in the draft effect for 30 seconds. When you talk about the coefficient of drag, that's aerodynamics, and we'll lower that for 25% for 15 seconds if you hit the Arrow power up, and then the Feather, all lighty Feather, gives you 10% off your body weight for 15 seconds, and that would be massive if you had the ability to deploy that on 23rd or Libby.
Cameron across the line there takes the points, it looks like, just ahead of Freder. And then it was going to be Megan Rathwell. Megan on the hunt tonight. Solid efforts here by Megan, as well as Grossman. I really think that they've been doing their homework, as well as putting in some heavy training at the front end of this pack right now. Grossman hanging on. It looks like Finesse Rockets with Monks. Watch out for Monks if she's able to come to the line for a sprint, maybe trying to get rid of Monks, because I think she is going to be a threat in the sprint if she is able to make it all the way to the line. Yeah. Russell now off the back just a little bit, though, here. She's going to maybe be able to slingshot off of Sheehan's wheel. Sheehan looking to use that drafting power up. If Anna comes around her, that's going to give her a little bit of a benefit. Looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. Can Sheehan get back on terms? There is the Feather power up, and that's going to keep this all together, but I believe that it's going to be Bolt as well as Brady that are not going to see the front end of this race again.
Yeah, wow, surprise. That's Alana Brady there, the cryogen rider in the white and blue. But going back to the front, this is why Megan Rathwell, the Canadian, is going ballistic at this point here. And they're deep into this race now. It's 32.5 kilometers, but it's almost further than that, because once you've gotten over 23rd and Libby for the second time, you really move into the final phase of the race. But Megan Rathwell is phenomenal out here today. It is very, very interesting when you look at what is happening behind her now. As Tara Cole, that's Catherine Monk's. A couple riders from the Rockets here. Grossman sitting right on these wheels. So, yeah, they're matching up quite nicely out here.
But it's completely up to the Rockets now at this point. Well, Cameron now with a kick. Don't bring anyone along. Interesting enough to see, but I would guess Rathwell.
She's getting the
Off
points
a little bit here. So, looking through here, it looks like it's going to be Gagnon trying to come back. Russell is here still as well. Sheehan just hanging on. They were almost able to drop her off. Look at this now, though. Does just barely get back on point here. Looking at that 2 meter gap. 2 meter gap.
Not look at Sheehan here. A young rider, and certainly I haven't seen her out racing a bit, but she's doing a really good job of hanging on and getting up into that draft and keeping her hopes alive out here. So keep that rolling, Paisley. Back up to the Tête de la Course at the front of the bike race. Tara Cole, again, we were talking about her being a former professional rider and recently became a mom as well. So it is really nice to see her back out and racing. But there's the cream of the crop right now, as Megan Rathwell's got them all chasing as her teammates now. Well, I guess the reality that it was all going to come back together.
Yeah, I think that the reality is that they attacked over the top there. It did bring some of the
they weren't planning on Megan staying away, looks like.
And I think that's a very difficult ask, too, all the way through to the line, especially with this many riders. Now, And the other thing is like, what is Stars the Pros Closet going to do? Just sit up and let everybody else come back? I mean, there's still a race on, and there's riders
Good point.
behind. And if they did sit
There's
up to allow Megan to go, then there's a whole bunch of riders that are coming back to their group. So I think it's best interest to just bring everybody
very
together.
astute. Yeah, Nathan, that's really because here's the thing. It's all about points, and winning the bike race is great. It's nice, it's gravy, it's encouraging, it's good for everybody's morale. But if you were to do exactly what Nathan said, that would have been a huge blunder. So there's times when you're not chasing your teammate, you're just racing the bike race. And I completely agree with that assessment. And that's exactly what happened there. So now we've got this group that's racing for the win, and all of the points really. So 40 points for the win, 35 for second, 30 for third. Fourth place gets 27 points, but then fifth place is 26, sixth is 25. It's only 1 point difference from that point on. So there's a significant advantage to getting some riders up on the podium. We've already gobbled up a bunch of points out here because this group has gone through and taken all of the points off the table at the bonuses that we've seen. So we're going to go back. It looks like Kieran Lewis from the Rockets from Zwift headquarters is out here now. Kieran racing out of Australia in a relatively reduced group, still pretty large, but you can see they've been working hard out here. Almost 12K in, out on lap number 1 of 2 on Richmond Reverse.
A little bit of a kick coming to the front now. Who is that going to be? Here's another next rider, actually. It's Catanzaro off the front, 11.6 watts per kilogram. Very late aero power up, not using it with his jump, interestingly enough. Now a second kick coming from him. Does he have the gap to hold this off? But he did slow down a little bit, so the speed's not going to be there. It looks like it is going to be Uberti, his teammate, over the top. But De Los Reyes, right to the line. I think he got it by half a wheel length there. Reyes from Badass now. Carl now coming on through. It looks like, did they break it apart? Looks like they did. Lipgood looking to trying to hang on, it looks like. With this split, I think is going to come back together, but they could continue on here and put some damage in. Look at the group ahead. They're going to come around this corner. See that they got a gap. I'd be super motivated if there was anything in my legs to give it a go and at least try and get some other riders to jump across. ZHQ Rockets now with Kieran Lewis. A little bit of a punch. Looks like they're going to slow right on down. Zach Neer says, let's shut it down.
We've got a long way to go.
We've got a lot of teams. And yeah, exactly. And a long way to go.
That's as encouraging and exciting as it might be to have that opportunity. The reality of how much horsepower is sitting back in this peloton has got to have you rethinking that one, although these guys continue to charge here. Such an aggressive race we are witnessing. Always known as a puncher's course when you talk about Richmond. It is interesting. We've talked in some of the previous broadcasts today about how racing it going the other direction. Typically when you race on Richmond UCI course, it's a counterclockwise effort. Today, this clockwise race, it does change things up, that's for sure. At the end of the day, the climbs are severe. Talking about Libby in 23rd, well, now it's 23rd to Libby, but this next time up 23rd, I don't even think Fireworks does it justice. What I would expect out of this incredibly aggressive men's field is they're going to really start trying to make the race at that point. I have a feeling, Nathan, there might be a little bit of a reprieve, to tell you the truth, for a while here, because 2, 3, 4 riders, even if they could organize an attack, it's still you're like, as I was saying, Don Quixote going up against a windmill. It just doesn't have a chance. You're crazy to be out there doing it at this point with so much racing. But let's go back, as you can see on the split screen now, that women's race now is getting down to the business end. They're well within 10K of the finish here.
Yeah, and one more time, just as a reminder of where they are at and what they have taken on, especially if you're just tuning in. They have already completed 23.7K. They're over that second time of 23rd Street in Libby. They're going to have Broad Street and Monument Avenue, 4 points in just a moment here. We do have our current point standings for the women's side of things, and this is the situation. Megan Rathwell and Christina Grossman racking up 29 and 27 points respectively so far. Shout out to Post Conference, as well as Evelyn Gagnon here with 25. Finesse Rockets trying to chase that down, but only 25 on the board comparatively to the top 3. They're all from Stars to Pros Closet. Then it's going to be again Cameron with 23. Monk's there from Finesse Rockets. Then we have to move our way down into the 20s and the teens throughout the rest of that top 10 currently. For the points on the board, these are the points that will go towards the points race at the end, everyone. And then we across the finish line, it's going to be 40 points available for first place. And that's going to go down to 35 and continue to jump down all the way down to 1 point across the line for the top 30 across the line. But the
Megan Rathwell, Nathan, has already has the equivalent of a third place finish for all intents and purposes. I mean, 40 points for the win, 30 points for third. She's sitting on 29. That's
exactly.
But also noting that Grossman with 27 is very close to that. And you said Gagnon as well at 25. They're tied with Freder. So this is fantastic what this front group has been able to do. The points table, it drops off so severely after the riders that are no longer on our screen. I mean, all of those points have gone to the riders that we're looking at right now, and they're going to take the Lionesses' share of points from the finish line as well. I'm trying to get a handle on how large this group is. It looks like we are pretty close to a dozen here.
Yeah, just real quick, for those that do not know the structure of the points, they are all going towards the day to win on the day. The winner on the day then will get 20 points for their team in the league standing. So first place is the most points gained on the day. Second place, second most points gained on the day after they're all totaled up from the bonuses and the cross the line points. Just as a heads up to everybody. So you can only score 20, 19 all the way down through.
Alana Brady fought her way back into this group. That's an impressive ride by Alana, the American on Cryogen, Anna Russell, Claire Cameron, Evelyn Gagnon, Catherine Monks, Christina Grossman, who gets a gold sty by her name today, Megan Rathwell, Paige Bolt, Tara Cole Freder, and Paisley Sheehan is still here as well. That's our Rookie of the Year ride. Paisley definitely has arrived in A-level racing in Zwift. It's just a super job to be up here. So, all right, these are the women of the hour, no doubt about it. You start now. So for Saris, the pros closet, when you look at the bonus points they've already earned, Nathan, and the situation they're in, they are in tremendous shape now to be the top team and take the 20 points given to the top team, 19 for second, as you were just mentioning. So I think they're pretty close to mission accomplished here as long as they get a couple riders up in the top 5.
A little bit of chatter coming on through from Sisu. I Race Like a Girl Do from Post, as she is saying, let's pick up all of the stragglers. And that's exactly what they are doing. They're working very well together, it seems like, here to try and bring in every rider that's been dropped off from that front pack. We'll see how they can continue on with this. But as she did just say, more points up for grabs for us, the more riders we are able to catch. Riders like Quick here saying, just be quiet. She's like, no, don't worry about it. Leave me alone. Exactly. Let me just suffer in peace out here.
Hey, who's instead. Big mouth back there? Right? It's funny how racers communicate, and that's so true, right? I think Anna Russell, our friend, is one of those riders that's so hyper aware of everything that's going on, and she's constantly got information. And there are other riders who don't share a bit, right? Who just absolutely, you've seen that, Nathan, riders who just don't ever say anything. They're going to let you figure it out. They're not going to tell you how many laps of racing remain. You should know yourself.
Exactly. And just keep it kind of quiet. Because every advantage you can possibly take. Is power. Exactly. Lambie now to the front. We'll see how he can hang on. He did drop off last time through. It'll be interesting to see how that ends up playing out here. Royal City now with Jamnicki here to the front. Real City Cycling. A little bit of a feather power up. A little bit early for a feather power up, in my opinion, on this climb. You really want to use it at the sharpest end of the climb.
That's weird. So many guys doing it, too. Wondering, they're trying to get rid of it?
Well, I think also there's a reality when you're hammering, and if it's like kind of out of reach a little bit and you can't really take your hands off the handlebar. I mean, you really need a solid setup. I've seen Anna Russell actually has the new Zwift Insider little power up and interactive button remote control that you can just hit it right on the handlebar like you would with a shifter. Pretty cool to see
that
they've been doing that. Yeah. So really cool advancement that you can go check out how to get that over on Zwift in Zwift Insider. There's a great article written up on that device. But Duffy now from next.
Whew, yeah, here we go. So One of the things that people have been commenting on that I completely agree, a great change was scoring the bonuses deeper instead of 5 deep, 10 deep. It changes the dynamic out there. I have a feeling, Nathan, that Anna Russell, when she was a kid, was the kind of kid that you'd wake up in the morning and find her taking apart the toaster in the morning, that kind of thing. Always curious, always learning, always trying to find out how to get an advantage out there. And I absolutely love it. As we take a look, this is that whiplash that you see. Boy, so obvious when you see it like that. Bottom of the climb now. It is on.
Uberti, been very strong. This next team, always on the front, it seems like, always showing that they've got the power. This is what we really were excited about, the new teams, the fresh brands that are coming on in, trying to be a part of things, and Uberti now on the attack. ATP now with Walter Swart trying to shut things down, as you can see here. Cryogen, Alp, it's going to be Jen Alp, and we don't get the rest of the name there, but Schaefer there, the Flame, and then it's going to be Siarka. Now, trying to chase, and that's the rest of the pack now sitting in. Where is the snapping of the elastic is my question. Kennedy of Four-Eye, perhaps? Luinstra now going backwards. Baldwin. Right now, this is the danger spot. Tabalong, that is exactly where it's at. Looks like Lambie now 3 seconds back. Not sure he's going to get back on terms,
Watch
though.
this. You know what? He will, but it's going to take a lot. This is what Ashton Lambie's all about. Now, I know a normal human, no way. I would write off anybody except Ashton. If he can do it, I think it really backs up. We'll find out, is this the real Ashton Lambie or an impersonator? Just kidding. It's obviously the real Ashton.
He's got a check mark next to his name.
I'm kidding. But you know what I'm saying, Nathan? Very, very few people would be able to rejoin at this point. I mean, you're chasing vapor, basically. You better be the world record holder in the pursuit to make this catch.
I mean, this arrow power up, very lucky of Tabalong to be getting this from Cryogen, because this section, it was going to be very difficult to try and bring anything back. So there's this current point situation. It's Zach Neer who's been throwing down for
looks like Ashton.
The next team.
Ashton is going to throw in the towel, it looks like. I'm watching his watch right now. Yeah.
There's only so much you can do. Even Tabalong here with that arrow power up, he needed to be throwing down a lot more on that downhill. Look at how quickly it just goes away. So
another
rider who might be out. There it is. That might do it. 51 kilometers per hour. They're doing 52 ahead, though. So still going to be a tough day. Let's go ahead and jump on in with the women, though. They just went through their last sprint point. See if I can get you all a replay here in just a moment. This is what was happening just a second ago amongst the women for their replay of the this is going to be their final sprint to the line. It does look like, I believe, Finesse Rockets, they opened things up at Cameron again on the front. I do believe Finesse Rockets did take it down. Cryogen second, and I think Cameron for third across the line. In just a moment, we'll get the rest of the points situation there for the ladies.
I think it was Bolt.
Calming right on down.
It looked like it was Bolt to me, the Finesse Rockets rider, to pick up the top bonification, the 10 points there. Yeah, this group will take all of the points off the table as they roll through. And now it's about the finale, the grand finale here. It comes at about 32.5K into, so finishing the second lap is next on order.
Grossman with 41 points. Woo!
Good for her.
It's the Greyhounds. The Greyhounds are next to her.
Yeah.
They're encouraging her on. Just ride like me, Mom. What are you doing? Come on, Mom. Ride like me. It's
easy.
Just catch the rabbits. Go get them. And she listened. Yeah. Got 41 points.
Good for her. And this is a nice debut for Tara Cole Fretter at 39 points here. Certainly, that's a fine welcome to the league, Tara. Paige Bolt there with 38 points, and then Evelyn Gagnon. It's pretty amazing here when you see, and this speaks to 10, 9, 8, 7 points. They're all awarded each at all of the different bonuses that we've had. Claire Cameron sitting there in the top 5. Catherine Monk's up there as well. That's the story now with 40 points waiting at the finish line. Again, the situation's so good for the women in yellow and green here. That's Sarah's the Pros Closet, who they had an outstanding season 1, and they are right back at it. They started this one off, that's for sure. as they lit this fuse. The riders that were able to join, it was actually quite impressive that they were able to. There was a chase group for, through that first 5, 6, 7K, Nathan, and then a few riders were able to make that jump across that from station to station, but only a few survived that. And then that's what has us now at a little over 1K from the finish.
One little over 1K to go, and the Finesse Rockets versus the Sarsa Pros Closet team. I think that is the story. Then Sarsa Pros Closet, though, for the league is what I mean there. And I think there's going to be some homework, though, for Cryogen Finesse Rockets, as well as the rest of the teams to go, okay, how are we going to unseat this Sarsa Pros Closet team in the future here? Because they have shown up and said, no, we are going to dominate this league. Season 2 is no joke here.
And if you're racing Saris the Pros Closet, you better show up warmed up when you're in the pen, because they race from kilometer 0. They have definitely changed, I think, the mindset here. We're going to see our first attacks going, Claire.
Oh, she's going. You know what's happening here? This is all because she wants to make them chase, because she knows she doesn't have the sprint. So she's making the chase for Finesse, and it's done.
Consummate teammate right here out of New Zealand. The triathlon legend, Anna Russell, here is doing the yo woman's work for the team. You can see she's drawing them out. It's going to be, it looks like Freder is going to be the first. Monk's chasing. Rathwell then sitting on. Now she's going to be a teammate here. So a classic move. But
now Monk's here. This is the thing. She knows she's a lead out train. Monks knows that she's a lead out train here, and that's all that's happening. So she says, no, fine, you're going to make me a lead out train. I'll go all in over the top. Catch me if you can, is what she's making happen. She got Cameron off the wheel. She also got Rathwell off the wheel. That was goal accomplished, because now you can see that Cole Freder is going to sit in, and now the lead out train is Saris the Pros Closet. Will Gagnon be able to come over the top here, Dave?
Well, it's going to be interesting, no doubt about it. They've split the group here, so it's going to be a sprint from the front. They're going to be bogging down. You can see it's a slightly uphill grade. Sarah's the Pro Closet goes with Claire Cameron. I think Claire Cameron has got it. This human wattage cottage now looking to hold on, and that should be it. Boom. What a win here. Command performance tonight from the Canadian for Saris the Pros Closet. The entire squad has got to be thrilled with their effort. Cole Freder getting up there. Alana Brady had a solid ride today, but it was all Saris the Pros Closet.
That was absolutely a drawn-out sprint. Completely drawn-out sprint. Like the way that all planned out, it played out there is completely different from what we usually see. And it was all to the tactics of Saris the Pros Closet. Well, it did end up playing into their hand. I was a little bit concerned, actually, at one point about how it ended up playing out. Interesting enough to see. But let's take a quick look here again at how it went.
And Nathan, I think that's a pretty classic look of a sprint out of a group that doesn't have classic sprinters in it. Right? All of those women are really elite endurance athletes. I don't think any of them would, if they wrote their bio, would have sprinter next to their name. Puncher, maybe. But that's going to be Monks who makes this first move, and it was solid.
Super solid. Well, Anna Russell was off the front. She gave that power up. She knew that she wasn't the sprinter. She was going to force the chase from Finesse Rockets. We saw Finesse Rockets all in on the chase, because the reality is Anna's just gone if they don't do so. And as they did, they pulled forward Rathwell and Cameron. They made the move to follow. I was expecting maybe Grossman, Gagnon to come on through as well, but that was not happening. Off the front with the Rockets.
I agree. I have to say, Nathan, Anna Russell set the trap, right? She's the one that got Monks to go too early, and this is the moment now where her teammates take advantage of that work being done by Anna Russell. As you said, the sprint, they're incredibly deep into the pain cave. They're scraping every last watt off the bottom of the barrel. But Anna sets this up and is able to eliminate Monks through that crafty early move. Leaves Cole Freder here. Yeah, but it was really
Monks was actually the one who really shut things down when it comes down to it. And Monks ends up out of the picture because of it. And Freder ends up all that's left. And still solid result for Finesse.
Not bad
at all, but Cameron ends up with the top points because of it.
And this speaks to a team that talented with such a game plan. I mean, their Discord must have been burning up as they know how to communicate and they executed. That was a clinic in how to win a bike race out of a small group. Tara shouldn't feel bad at all. I'm sure she doesn't. I bet you she's elated because that was one heck of a ride from
I want
Cole
to give a
Freder
shout out to
out here today.
Cryogen, though, and the result there
Alana
for
Brady.
Brady, because she snuck
Yeah,
in on the podium there with having no
good for
teammates
her.
around her at all. Ends up with a third, sneaky, plays it well, and ends up grabbing that spot still, even being
What a star.
completely
Yeah.
isolated. That is an amazing result. Very smart KG ride there from Brady to pull something out of a race where the rest of her team had been completely dropped.
I don't know. I hate to have favorites, Nathan, but I just love the way that this group of women race. It is. I look forward to Tuesday nights more than any other race, to be honest.
Yeah, it's very aggressive, and awesome to see.
You
the way
learn
that they're-
something. Yeah, yeah. It's awesome. All right. Well, we're back in with the men. I don't want to get too carried away there. Ashton Lambie. So is this the chase group, or did it all come back? Did Ashton actually get back? Is this the
Is
front,
Lambie
Nathan?
in there? No. Did he actually get
Yes.
back at the climb? Are you kidding
Yes,
me?
sir.
No
Thank you very
way.
much, Ashton. Making me look good, dude.
Wow, that must have happened on the climb. They must have backed off a little bit on
He's
the
that
climb
good,
on
Nathan.
Broad
I mean,
Street.
nobody
That's
else
amazing.
can do that. It is amazing. Mind-blowing, to tell you the truth, but it's true.
So
What a
we
day. This has
did
been
just
such
see
an
them come
awesome day
through.
of racing.
We did just see
Holy
them come
cow.
through the Broad Street sprint here just a moment ago. They're going to be coming into the next one in just a few minutes here. It is Broad Street and then Monument for a second time. That'll be the next point that we will see some sprint points on the line. Let's go ahead and see how things are currently playing out, though, amongst the men. Zach still racking them up there at 31 points. We see Uberti here, as well as Tabalong. Tabalong's been dropped, though. Duffy's still in there, 23. A lot of 23s there. So it's really been spread out, not really a full-on domination. We don't see that 40 or so points from any of these riders.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised, especially after what we saw 5 kilometers ago, that we've got this large of a group. And at this point, you start to really think, we did see earlier in the day some heroics, a solo attack that went clear 30 seconds and stayed away. I think it was 14 seconds when it was all paid there at the finish line. But we've seen breaks work, but at this point from this group, it's starting to look like a reduced group sprint is on tap.
I want to give a quick shout out. The women's Bs just finished. They were so fast, I could not get back to them. So apologies on that. I did say I was going to try and cover them. Britt Powell coming across the line, Megan Kelly, Caroline DeFore, Josiane Mahu. It's going to be Nancy Gillen was also there, Kristen Anderson, Allison Thompson, Daniel King, Kirby Kelly, Stevie as well was there. So lots of big talent, but they did just come across the line. I just got them on screen, but they're on their cooldown now at this point. So apologies, I'm missing.
That's another exciting name to hear with us on Zwift. Carolyn DeFore out of Austin, Texas is a multi-time national champion and an exciting rider to race. I look forward to that. It's a compliment to the B women that they're racing so fast, especially with that aggressive A women's race, that they're finishing just moments later. Good work, ladies.
Absolutely.
You're racing so fast, we can't even get you on TV.
The cameras can't even get to you.
Can't even catch you.
Here. A little bit of a gap now. I think Cam from ATP now sees that it's a little bit of a threat. He punches into solid 12 watts per kilogram real quick just to get back on terms with the wheels. It does look like, woo, look here, Lambie. Is that Lambie? It is. It's got to be. Off the front, 6 watts per kilogram. And this is what you were talking about, 3K to go.
Watt monster. Here we go. Ashton Lambie. Now, this is going to be absolutely, we should be charging for tickets now to watch this one. What the Gladiator out of Nebraska, Ashton Lambie now is going to show us what a human wattage cottage is all about. So, Ashton here now digging in. Let's watch that gap. It's at 2. Going to start seeing some riders now really feel the effort of the chase. Let's see who's going to organize it, Nathan. This is going to be fun to watch. What a treat this is. Again, for if you weren't with us earlier, this is a man who has recently been, without any doubt, one of the greatest pursuit riders. That is on the velodrome, the 4 kilometer pursuit. He's part of the U.S. Olympic movement, obviously with COVID and his event, his speciality, the individual pursuit, is an event that they don't have in the Olympics. So he was working with the U.S. team to be part of the team pursuit, but he's as talented as any rider on the planet right now. He's up at that Rowan Dennis or Filippo Gagne level, just huge, huge engine. So let's see what we've got, Nathan.
Looking at it here, it's going to be Mediocre Zwifter from the women here. This is the women's C's for their finish here. Mediocre Zwifter here, Jacobson from Vixen, and then Ashley Cameron trying to pull off a top 5. Not sure she was able to do so. Solid little kick to the line. They were able to hold off, though, this chase group. So solid kick there. That was the C category finish for the women. We'll be jumping back and forth between the men's attacks here for the A's and the women's C and D in just a moment. But it's going to be Lambie alongside of Jameson Cannondale rider. That's going to be Levinson, who's been very quiet on the day so far. Interesting to see as Lambie again kicks 8 watts per kilogram, 190 beats per minute. Only 3 seconds, though. So, there is the reality of pure power versus the reality of the Zwift algorithm and the pack that's chasing you down. Can he hold them off is going to be the question.
Well, with any other rider, I would say absolutely not. This is a fool's errand, but not with Ashton Lambie. You have to understand that the physiology of this man is otherworldly. It really is. Ashton, if you research him, take a look on the Google, and you can see that his father built a flat track, or they have built these grass tracks that it harkens back to, before breaking away, just that vibe of someone who loves riding his bike. That is Ashton. I think he's going to do it, Nathan. I mean, I know that this goes against everything that we've seen, everything that we've learned, but this is a world class is kind of short selling him, to tell you the truth. Ashton Lambie will win an Olympic gold medal in his life. It is an absolute honor to see him out racing, and Nathan, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. I know it's hard to believe. Right? Are you not stunned?
202 beats per minute, but here comes the 3 seconds is all that's there. We'll see, but he has made it very difficult on this pack, and they're all just watching. You might be right.
I can't believe it.
Where's the arrow power up, though? If there's an arrow power up from somebody, though, but they have to go now. They cannot wait any longer, or it is already lost.
He's still at 7 watts. He's still at 7 watts per kilo. Okay, it's dropping a tiny bit now. It's back up and over. Now they're throwing down, but have they left it a little bit late? Because this perspective tells me that Ashton is going to do it. I know I'm a believer. Oh my gosh, it's going to be incredibly close.
Oh, I believe you, Birdie's going to come across here. Here it is. Oh, it's too much. It's just too much speed.
Teammate.
And there's the reality of it. Duffy to the line.
They went 1, 2, 3, 4. They just went 1, 2, 3, 4. Nathan. Unbelievable.
Next have shown up and they've said, okay, we are what's next. We are what's next. There ain't nothing else out here. And what a ride there by Team Next showing up. And Birdie taking it down.
Best.
We can take a look at the replay.
So he
here
doesn't hold on, but Nathan, we've never seen anything like that one. Not even close. I get it. He didn't win, but his teammates did. And we're going to look at these results, but this, I think, will be the record number of points that we have ever seen taken by one team in one race. So that's Ashton. The moment that the reality of he's not going to make it, but all of a sudden you realize, but wait, that's his teammate, Chris Uberti.
They forced the chase perhaps then and put everybody else on the front and then launched from fifth to sixth place. Well, took that whole pack speed and came right on through. And they all have an insane sprint, obviously.
If his teammates
12 to 15.
If his teammates had sat up at 200K to go, he still could win.
Yeah, that's probably, well, I think he got overtaken though but they were a lead out train for the rest of the riders there. So you may be correct. It's
interesting.
Still,
what a day! What
it was
a day.
right to the line. It was right to the line there. He almost made it happen. We're in with a D rider actually. This is going to be Lydia Sack hammering away. She's got a solid 20-second gap over Tiffany DeRamos for CCY Rally Second Girl Pele. That rider has got a pretty solid gap over the next chase group. That's going to be with Melissa Joy, Claire Atkinson, and Nani Lusu Lesu. Probably got that way off. There was a correction, I think, from some of the Betty Squad riders actually on that. I think I saw it in the chat, and she's going to probably correct me again. Jeremy coming on through as well in the Betty Squad, and it's going to be Mauser is in there. So this is going to be a solo win. Only, 18 seconds. There's no bringing this back at this point. This is within category limits, averaging 2.6 watts per kilogram. So solid result here for Lydia.
Yeah, that's awesome. Way to go, Lydia. Nice sock game, too. Socks for Watts is probably going to be recruiting Lydia.
Loving the sock. And look at, this is actually some pretty good, we're not nearly as talented at the reality of the fashion police here as our counterparts, Anna.
No one goes to us for that. No.
And Kate
and that's Anna's department at Zwift Community Live.
The neon here, a little bit off on the color matching, but it almost works because of it. I'll have to say that. So,
well, that's sort of the new style, right? To be shocking, I guess you'd say. Like go against what the old norms were. People love that. Nathan, I don't know. I sure after season 1 of the Zwift Racing League wrapped up, and a huge thank you to Martin for all the work that WTRL has been doing. Just so much appreciation through lockdown, and even forgetting about lockdown. It's become incredibly important to so many of us. And I think a lot of us realized that during the Christmas break there, where all of a sudden you're like, wow, Tuesdays just aren't the same without the ZRL.
This is the front really group of the Bees, Dave.
Steve Beckett in the front group. This man is a monster, an absolute monster today. He's been doing his work there in Southern California. He's got the 20-pound sledgehammer out today and is just wailing away for the ZHQ Rockets.
Steve Beckett,
very competitive.
4.5 watts per kilogram. What is happening here? This is awesome to see. Making the lead group, sitting fourth wheel right now. Has he been doing his homework on how to make a sprint happen? Does he have the aero power up now? Sherametto now to the front there, Poloni, and then it's going to be Murawski.
Look at how well positioned he is. This is quite a ride from Beckett right now. Okay, we got ourselves a Donnybrook going on in Richmond again. This finish comes up very, very quickly. Who's going to flinch first? Who's going to start sprinting? Any second now. It's a small, select group. We're going to find a worthy winner here, Nathan. This one is on like Donkey Kong, and there they go, hitting out for the finish line.
Dorsey, it looks like WTRL, but Gorham trying to make it to the line. There's an aero power up, but maybe it's just too much light winds. It's right to the line, and it was Murawski from Dirt. It looks like that made it happen. Just a pinch. That was. Seriously, that was about as close as it gets. Man. Let's take a look at that one. That was pretty exciting, actually, coming on through. And as it opened up, Steve ended up being, I think, more of a lead-out man. And WTRL with Dorsey, I thought was going to have it with that aero power-up. Gorham comes on through with the feather power-up, but here comes Dirt with Murawski. Look at the speed. Yeah. Team Type 1 was right there as well. That was so close. I'm gonna try and
feather was
that one.
Yeah. Well, this has been America's East that we're wrapping up now as we have America's West to look forward to, our final wave of racing here on day 1 of our second season for ZRL. Boy, a lot of energy around this league.
I think Gorham held off. We'll have to wait for the back-end API, though, as it don't lie. But from that wheel length there, it looks like perhaps. Let's try and jump in with the C category. There's the still image. But the C category are coming to the line. We're going to be looking for Jim Logan, Adrian Benaciglio, and then Alex Busby. They're going to be helping us out to get us into the B category.
If you go to Richmond, Virginia, that finish line is still in real life. The Parks Department there continues to refresh the paint and keep that memory alive. So if you're there, go by and check it out. It's always nice to see that historic finish line where Lizzie and Peter won, and Chloe. Geiger, our friend. A lot of history was made in Richmond back in 2015. Here you go, Nathan. Good work. We're in with Logan and the C's. This is the herd team.
Yeah, and this is going to be a pretty popular team actually out on Zwift. Always great to see them. They're very involved with the WTRL TTTs. Most of these teams actually very involved with the WTRL TTTs on Thursdays. If you're unfamiliar with that, you can sign a team up. Registration does close tomorrow night for edition in the 90s. Are we on number 91 or 92? It's been a lot. We're on number can't count anymore. Going to be a great great time on Thursday, but good way to get prepped for the TTTs that are coming up in the Zwift Racing League as well.
I'm so excited. I just blurred out questions, Nathan. What if Ashton Lambie hadn't had to close down 2 monster gaps? If he'd been able to just ride the group for the first part of that race, would he have had enough then to hold them off? Probably.
I don't know.
He had to close down.
I have no
He
idea.
had
I
to
mean,
do
you saw his
2
heart rate go to
huge efforts
202 beats per minute. That was insanity.
for a
That he was
while,
up and
too.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess most people could. Well, I don't even want to speculate on what most people could do, but I mean, to see someone be able to leave it there, that's what it's like for him in the last kilometer. He keeps his heart rate there for 2 minutes. You know, I mean, that would qualify as a grand mal seizure for almost any other human being.
Howard now to the front here, 2.3 watts per kilogram. Logan now.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, most people would be dead.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Just the comparison. I just have it like the images you're giving me, Dave. I'm just gonna leave them alone here. But,
Too much.
anyways,
so the C's, this is Howard that we've got. So they're going to have a similar experience, Nathan. They're about 1K, a little over 1K away from a sprint, much like the B's just went through. Getting the timing right. You can't be the first guy to go. I mean, unless you're Ashton Lambie, I guess. But theoretically, you've got to let the cards play a little bit before you throw your chips into the middle of the table. It's such a fine line, and this is where experience. They say that my old Russian teacher in high school would say that repetition is the mother of learning. Doing something over and over, you really learn, and that is so true. Getting the reps in as a sprinter, you learn about positioning, you learn about the riders to watch, and with that knowledge, then it's not just the physical ability. You need to have the thing that unlocks the door is the key of knowledge.
Is this going to be Herd have a new kitten game? I'm loving this. This is a great
kit.
Did
they win this kit?
Look, they have all of those.
Through?
Do you see all the animals on the back? This is so great. Amazing.
Well, the herd of platypus, herd of rhinos, right.
These are the rhinos now that we're looking at here with Logan leading things out. Ballards there, soldiers. They might have had a request in for quite a long time. There was old ways and maybe still ways that you can get kits in game depending on how large of a club, certain kinds of thresholds.
Don't ask me about it. So don't ask me.
Well, I know for sure that there might have been a request in for a long time with the latest batch of kits that went into game.
Sure.
So looking through here, we're going to do a sprint though.
Well, they deserve
category.
It.
This is it.
You know. Well, let's see if they can put that kit over the line first. The herd that we're talking about is that blue and green, but it's going to come down to who wants. Boy, they have a lot of riders in this group, don't they? And now they've launched. Okay, they've entered the code. It's been approved, and it's going to be Alberto approved for launch. Here we go, folks.
Yeah, and it's going to be Alberto out the front, but will Howard be able to come over the top from
I
USA?
he's got it.
And it's going to come right down to it. He made it happen there with Howard followed by Boone. Job. With herd of mad, does it say mustard? Mustangs. Mad Mustangs. The herd of mad Mustangs are the next ones around the course there. Mad horses.
It's good.
Watch out for the mad horses, everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's not mad mustard. It's not mad. I feel like I'm in Alice in Wonderland past the mustard. Next up, we've got the D category here. And Mac Bird, as well as Charlie Ewell, are going to be the riders that we're going to be looking for, and they're going to help us get into that category as they hammer away. They're at the front end of that group, from what I can see. See if we can find them out on course here. Next up, though, after we do catch a little bit more racing from the D category, we will be jumping in with America's West after a short break, and that's going to be with Kate Bates and Dave Toll. We're having a little bit of a struggle here, everybody, finding
These riders have
the
already
D
finished. Yeah,
category.
they're just
There we
they've got a
go.
boundless energy. There we are. Shelly, another herd rider here. Good to
A
see
little
that.
bit of a
Now you know
breakup
the
here
kid.
right as we jump in. There's some attacks going on here. Good to see. And there's Bird. We couldn't find him. He was going so fast. From the herd. Bird from the herd. Here we go.
Makes it easy.
2.7, 168 beats per minute off the front, trying to keep him off the wheel. Will he be able to do it? I'm not sure. I think he grabbed some points a little while ago, and that may be why he's here.
Well, and I'm loving this here. It looks like everybody within category limits, as you say. Right? We're good.
2.3,
I think.
2.3, 260. He's just
This
got
looks reasonable.
monster watts, though. 262 on average. So
Steady. Yeah.
Coming in at 112.
Like
I mean, this guy's flying.
Like a nuclear battleship. Just everything
Look at
put
the
together
biceps
here.
on this guy. I mean, this is a conversation coming from the APAC with Kate and Anna saying, how do we get some flex in our avatar?
Musculature.
Yeah. I don't want to
Little
go to the
flex
line
like
and
that.
sprint with this guy. I bet you he's got a 12 to 1500 watt sprint on the Bird. And
Well,
he's
they
coming
say
from the
don't
Rhinos
judge
as
a
well.
book by its cover, Nathan. Don't judge a book by its cover, right? But I am terrified of Bird. This guy looks tough.
Yeah, this is
What an avatar. First time I've been concerned that an avatar might beat me up.
This is where we need the road rash stuff, where people can just kind of
You're
like
right.
push across, like punch across, rather than having wave on two or on F2 or F3 or ride on. We need like to be able to pull out our
Nathan,
our
I got to
lever.
point out this
Stay
name here.
in.
The Haitian Sensation. I have not seen that before. One of the best names ever. Haitian Sensation. You've got my, looks like Canadian rider there. But I would have to think Canada has always been awesome about welcoming people from other countries. And I'm going to guess that there's some Haiti roots.
Haitian Sensation is coming from Haiti. That's what I'm seeing for the country flag. Looking through.
And that would be the first time that I've seen that flag represented here.
Yeah,
so that's really cool.
244 watt estimated FTP. Level 20 Zwifter, so a pretty new Zwifter. From what I can see, he's got 41 races. He's doing the Tour de Zwift. Solid. And a lot of wins, actually, it looks like, in the D category.
Actually, yeah. There's some real potential. You know, you have to start somewhere. And I love what we're seeing there. Good job. Welcome to Zwift.
Haitian Sensation.
I bet you if we went back and looked next month, which we will, I bet you're looking at a level 25 Zwifter. We'll start checking a lot of boxes out here.
I think Zwift Racing League's motivation, or he's going to be like fly through the. He's going for the zips, going for the 858s. Trying bike here, Bird.
Heck
now
yeah.
He's going to get caught, I think, Bird, as Hoff is hammering on the front. It looks like trying to bring this back together.
They're afraid to catch him. They're afraid to make the catch.
Because of the road rash emotes
They're intimidated.
Coming out. This guy unlocked. He showed up in game and unlocked new road rash emotes. Next thing you know, there's going to be a left hook in game that nobody knew about. So
he's writing the code right now. Oh man! All right. Well, in all seriousness, it's going to be interesting because they're only about 1.5 K from the finish here. A little bit of a dip. This is a good time to build up some speed. And actually for the peloton, this is where the physics, the advantage that they get is it goes down into a 3% downhill. And you see that they just kind of roll up on you. Then it's really hard to hold off that group when they get that dynamic.
We are seeing amongst this group, though, the story is going to be ATP versus Dirt versus Herd, it looks like. Haitian Sensation unattached from what I can see. He needs to be in a part of a team, I believe. So we'll see how this ends up playing out.
We'll figure it out.
Haitian Sensation, though, does have the best watt to watt, pure watt as well as watt per kilogram at 9.6 and 942. So good call and spot out there. The newer rider may be going to be an upset amongst these riders as they come to the line. They're within that 1K to go.
Yeah, it's interesting how rider level definitely tells you how much experience they have Zwifting, but in no way is it an indicator of talent. It's really an odometer, just keeping, and he's sitting right in the group here. It's, obviously, I'll be honest, I'm not super familiar with the D riders in this group, but just looking at these indicators here, nicely positioned, patient, that's going to be key. One of the biggest traps that you fall into as a novice rider is starting your sprint too early, Nathan. I think we've all been through that as racers. You really have to learn how to be patient and not take the bait, as they say. But also, when you commit, you've got to go all in and completely commit. And sometimes you feel like, oh no, I went too early, but you can still hold on and win. So believe in yourself, that's for sure. And this is a points race now, this scratch racing format. So they've already had a few sprints to look at each other. We weren't along for the entire ride, so we haven't been able to see, but I think we can feel it ramping up. Here we go, Nathan. All right, they have hit out.
Yeah, it's going to be the tank from Dirty Watts now trying to go. Loon now, ATP, a little bit early there. Here comes Shelly, Haitian Sensation. I just saw 9 watts per kilogram coming from him. Another kick coming from Haitian Sensation. Loon now, ATP trying to walk away, but here he comes. It's going to be a walk away, perhaps, up into 54 kilometers per hour. The kick from the group, but here comes an arrow, and it's going to be J-Boom goes kaboom across the line.
Nice.
Woo! J-Boom living up
fight
to
out
it.
there, guys.
Grabs it from Haitian Sensation. I think Bird was right there alongside him. That was a great little sprint to the line. The D category, always fun to see in the D category when they really come to the line with those sprints, though.
I was talking about this earlier, Nathan. My point is this was not the A race. This was the D race, but these guys felt like they were in the A race. That had to have been awesome. Sure, you're completely empty right now. Nothing brings more out of you, makes you into a better athlete than digging this deep. So, guys, that was fantastic. Great to have you as part of the ZRL. I cannot wait to see how we grow together out here throughout this season, too. But, Nathan, that's how you do it. You want to get better at the sport, you're never going to find that last 1% until you get into a bike. You never do that. Even sprinting with your buddies for the town sign, it's different. It's different than here.
I was thinking about this earlier, Dave, that excuse me 1 sec. So in the, that's kind of what this feels like in some ways, though, too. It's like we're all coming around the water hole and having a great time watching all of our buddies sprint to the line. Yeah. Although there's a lot, it's kind of this in-between space because you do have this like kind of elite racing going on in and amongst it. There's some stuff on the line. It's ways to get into the Premier Division. There's obviously lots of viewership going on around it as well. So that's really cool. But at the same time, there's this cool side of it. It's like, we're all just watching them sprint for the sign together though, too, cheering it on. And it's, oh, hey, did you see me and so around this region, whatever, getting together and hammering and who won on that night, And it's really the growing of the sport at the regional level. And I've always said that it's local basketball, baseball diamond, the local basketball court. That's where things actually grow a sport. You ain't going to have football on TV unless you've got football at the high school. And I think that's really what we're seeing here in the development of this sport in esports and Zwift racing is this is where it actually grows the sport. So people want to participate, spectate, and hang out amongst it.
I even want to take that a step further. Until you have football in the park down the street from your house, that's where it all starts, right? I mean, I love it. I love it. And we're going to start seeing more and more young people getting into racing out here as well. I'm starting to notice junior riders really picking up on this. And that's exciting. I'm going to guess that we start having junior leagues happening out here. Day's not over, Nathan. I wish I could say that you can punch out, but I'm going to need to keep you producing. You're the Dr. Dre of esports.
You got to keep talking. You got to keep talking. I'm going to hang out in the background. I'm going to do my little, I don't know if you saw the post coming from Anna and Kate of the little Oompa. I'm calling myself the Oompa Loompa because I looked like I was in Willy Wonka being transported into the television like Mikey was.
When you popped up
popped up in the little middle there. It was a great little shot. If you haven't checked out Anna Zwift Racer over on Instagram, she's been having some great content come out from all of the background of our productions, actually. Lots of fun. Let's go ahead and take a look at the results here, Dave. I'm going to give it to you here for the top in the women's and how things went down.
Well, speaking of Anna, this was such a great race. Claire Cameron, the Canadian, taking the win. Tara Cole-Freder is back and in full effect. We're going to be watching for her. Alana Brady had a great ride for CrowdGen in third place for the bronze today. Megan Rathwell was a difference maker out there, and the Canadian ends up in fourth. Christina Grossman picked up a lot of bonus points. As a matter of fact, as far as bonification goes up to the finish, Christina was the top rider out there. Great job for the woman out of New York. Paisley Sheehan, the young talent out of Boulder, Colorado. What an intro. Her first ZRL race. Paisley punching above her weight, finishing in sixth. It's Paige Bolt. Fantastic job today, Paige. In seventh, Evelyn Gagnon, another Canadian. 3 Canadians up in the top 10. She's in eighth. The mighty Catherine Monks in ninth. And our colleague, friend, and exceptional athlete and director, Anna Russell, you are the mastermind, ending up in 10th with a difference-making late race attack. Back to you, Nathan, for the Bees.
And it was Britt Powell with a solid kick to the line. We did miss the replay on that. Apologies on that, but this is how things played out. The Americas East Division 1B. Britt takes it down, followed up by Megan Kelly there. Only 0.2 seconds. Looks like there was a good kick, though, from Britt to get... I mean, that's with a sprint to the line, that's a pretty solid gap, actually, if it's up to almost a second there. Caroline DeFore there, followed up by Nancy Gillen there in fourth. It's going to be Josiah Mahue there in fifth. Daniel King from Team Fearless there in sixth. It's going to be Stevie Van Us in seventh. Kristen Anderson in eighth. Katrina A. Niaz in ninth. And then Liz Martin there, rounding out the top 10 and all the way out of Australia.
We'll be watching for more great racing out of that B's. Here are the C's. It was a mediocre Zwifter taking the win. Congratulations there, and the gold medal that goes with it. Rachel Brake out of Australia in second. Rosie Jacobson in third. Ashley Cameron in fourth. Suze Cox in fifth. Lauren Proofer sixth. Erin T in seventh. Susan Scharf in eighth. Vicky Sue in ninth, and Sarah Swartz rounds out our top 10 for America's East C's, the women.
Real quick shout out, I wanna just those that are doing the effort. Ashley Cameron as well as Danielle King are both streaming live on Twitch. Make sure to go check out their channels, and they are giving a live racer view over on Twitch. So plenty of riders actually amongst all of the ZRL are doing that nowadays. So make sure to go check that out. Big being able to see exactly how you get a top 10 in the ZRL from their point of view. It is Lydia Sack across the line for WTRL, though she was in a breakaway on her own, 9 seconds up from Tiffany Ramos. Then it was going to be Nanny Lusu. I probably got that way off there, but I tried. I really did. Nanny there in third place. There, Melissa Joy there coming across in fourth. And then it's going to be Claire Atkinson in fifth. M. Mauser in sixth. J. M. Marie from the Betty Squad in seventh. And then Elise Rochetier in eighth. Sarah Z in ninth. And then rounding out the top 10 in the D category, it is going to be E. Birch in the for the D's. That's going to be America's East Division 1D. And then for the A's amongst the men,
now, Brian Duffy Jr. on top here. A lot of American flags. Chris Uberti ending up with the silver. Zach Nair in third. Chad Butts in fourth. Again, this is the America's East 1A men's mixed. So we then have Nick Prue in fifth. Kieran Lewis sixth. Graham Hill in seventh. It's Arusan Laflamme in eighth. Connor Cam in ninth. And Walter Zwart rounding out our top 10.
Big shout out to Team Next, dominating in that A's category, that's for sure. Mark Murawski comes on through for first there, followed up by Brian Demekas in second in the B category there. Anwar Gorham for third. Chris Dorsey for fourth. Brad Dirksen for fifth. Brian Owens in sixth. Pierre Roulet in seventh. Paul Zakin in eighth. Austin Hermosillo in ninth, and then Brandon Hines rounded out the top 10 in the B category for America's East Division 1.
All right, then we take a look at the C's here, and it is Felipe Alberto for the win with Ryan Howard second, Alex Busby in third, Foster Boone for fourth, Michael Bowser in fifth, Andrew Souders sixth, John Dunstan in seventh, Adrian Benesiglio in eighth, Steve D'Alessandro in ninth, and Sean Ballard rounds out our top 10 here for the C's.
And last but not least, Jay Boom across the line living up to the name with those watts there. Taking down the Haitian Sensation for second place there. And it's going to be Mac Bird living up to the Muscular Avatar with the third. And it's going to be Charlie as well. Ewell for STL there in fourth. Dan Shelley, David Walker, that's fifth and sixth. It's going to be Patrick Loon there in seventh. Frank, making it happen. Hey, Frank, in eighth. D. Rich in ninth. And then Robert Conchiro rounding out your top 10. Bowser Bikes we see over in chat, and that is you in the C category. Nice job to Mike Bowser. Big shout out to him. I do see you in chat all the time, Mike, and it's great to see you in a solid result. Well, that's going to be it for us for the Americas East. This week we were covering the top, the Division 1. Be on the watch out. I do see a lot of the chat coming through. Well, what about this division, that division? We will be going across the divisions up until the knockout rounds. And in the knockout rounds, the last two rounds, we will be going back up to the Division 1s. So be on the watch out for our scheduling of the rest of the broadcasts over on YouTube. Those will be scheduled out through the rest of the season this week. So make sure to keep your eyes out for that to know exactly when your covered category will be covered. And also to tune in, I think it'll be kind of cool to hear about a lot of the other names, a lot of the other competitions that are going on out there amongst the community, just to get to know the Zwift community. This is a great way to do that and get to know a lot of the background about who is behind a lot of these avatars. Dave, that was awesome racing. As you said, America's East always brings the heat.
No question. I can't wait. We're not done yet, Nathan. One to go.
Not done yet. Kate will be in Mind Spot. Dave in just a little bit. He'll be here as well. America's West. Make sure to tune back in. We'll be live in just a little bit. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you in just a little while. Right on.